this is going to be the most shizo breakdown on the internet.
Need to make a SoundCloud. Tough one. Wow. But yeah, also study the Golden Beetle. With that being said, goodbye.
The audio you just listened to comes from A Helping Hand, not a song. And that's basically the thing that started the whole Golden Beetle iceberg. If you're not familiar with the topic, don't worry, I'm going to introduce you to the topic. I'm going to inform you about everything that was known before I started my research and everything that we were able to discover later on.
Smart question. Because most people don't even ask, they assume, is it metaphorical? You know what? You're the first one to hit it on the dot. Thank you. That right there is a metaphor for myself. That's me. I am the fucking Baphomet.
And he started managing them, and that's when they started. He was 17 years old. They were both 17, 18 years old. I think a little younger. Hanging out at Bruno's house with a whole bunch of porn stars, drugs, bitches, parties, and these kids are living the life with, like, you know how insane that is? Because I was living in the house.
That's why those raps are dope, right?
Yeah, that's why X and them were like insane fucking kids, like fucking doing screamo and like doing all this crazy shit. Like they were living a fucking rock star life.
Because of that fool. That's
Bruno
crazy.
Is, like, there's videos of Bruno taking X to Disney.
Damn.
Like you know, he like people said like Bruno was kind of wanted him to be like his little, his like mini me, or like that. That's like they're twins, or like, you know, they acted almost like.
Yeah.
And X admired that. It was so weird. And that's when all those allegations came out. Like, he beat up this girl, and that was at Bruno's house. It's crazy. All that shit went on. Like, it's crazy.
So that was like the center of all the...
No one knows that it was Bruno.
Really?
And now none of X's mom, his friends, none of those people fuck with Bruno. Because he really got this kid into, like, a bad, like, lifestyle.
So is he doing something else, or just different artists?
Bruno?
Yeah.
Bruno's still doing the same thing he was doing.
Just different artists.
Pimping hoes, pimping... selling drugs, doing all that shit, you know?
Damn.
Miami Ratchet.
That's my new rap name. My new rap name is gonna be Bruno.
Bruno!
Like Freeway, like Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross. Rick Ross was like, I'm gonna be a Rick Ross.
Yeah, this is when X was like 17, he had like short hair. He didn't even have like the two, like blonde, and he was kid, yeah. He was recording in his house. Yo, if I tell you some real shit right now, like, I'm gonna tell you some crazy shit. Like, these kids, like, what I've heard, what they did at Bruno's house. Bruno never did that in the house when I was there. He just like beat girls up and like put them in cages and like.
Yeah, regular like mob boss shit.
Yeah, like, you know, crazy. And then what I heard later on was, I guess after he started living with these kids, they started doing like brujeria. Like, they started doing that shit. And like, these are facts. Like Wi-Fi, Funeral, and all these guys would say that. Even Juice WRLD would say that shit. He was like, yeah, like. Bruno was doing like they were doing some weird shit. Even X. Yeah, they were when
Florida has that, Louisiana has that shit.
Bro, crazy. I didn't know, because when I was living there, like, they wasn't doing that. And then I heard that, I was like, damn, that nigga's crazy.
It's that Everglades shit, like crazy witch doctor.
Yeah, they were getting supposedly they got some of the girls and did like some weird shit, like
like they can
sacrifice, throwing blood just on
they dope them up somehow, so like they pass out and they're like knocked out. And then, like, do crazy shit. Maybe sacrifice, I don't know. But
well, that's what I heard, and the girls started tripping out. Like, the girls are, like, some weird shit. I believe in that stuff. I live in Miami. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I looked into that. I was like, ooh.
Sacrifices a girl's soul when he fucks them on top of his bed. Because he has, like, the gates of hell pentagon drawn underneath his bed. And he sacrifices a girl's soul on top of the bed when he fucks them. So... let the world know that, because that is some real demonic shit, and that's not cool. That revolves around XXX.
So now we're going to break down everything that was basically known before I started my research. It's been 3 years since I started researching one of the biggest mysteries surrounding Xxxtentacion and the Golden Beetle. X only mentioned it a handful of times, yet those few comments have led to years of theories, research, and debate. Today I'm going to break down everything we actually know, the 3 most popular interpretations, and why one of them stands out more than the others. Let's get into it. Remember, these are the theories that were most popular in the Archive Gekium subreddit before I started my research. Before jumping into theories, let's look at the fact. At the very end of A Helping Hand, Not a Song, X tells listeners to study the golden beetle. The simple statement sparked years of speculation. Later, someone asked him about it on Tumblr. Instead of explaining what it was, X responded, "I can't give you the answer behind it because of how powerful the information is. If the information is for you, it will literally come to you. But if and when it does, be careful what you do with it." At another point, someone claimed they found the golden beetle, and X replied, "Good, be careful with the books, they've got demons attached to them." Those are the only direct comments X ever made about it. What we also know is that X had a deep interest in spirituality and spent time studying subjects like alchemy, esoteric philosophy, occult tradition, and other spiritual teachings. That context is important because every major theory connects back to those interests. Theory 1, at the time, The Winged Beetle by Aleister Crowley. The first theory points to The Winged Beetle, a book by Aleister Crowley. Why do people think this? Well, Crowley was one of the history's most well-known occultists, and X was clearly interested in occult philosophy and spiritual knowledge. The title is also very similar to Golden Beetle. That said, the evidence doesn't go much further than that. Aside from the similar names and the Crowley's connection to occult studies, there is no direct link connecting this book to X. It's definitely possible, but more research would be needed to support it. Theory 2. Rudolf Steiner and the Golden Beetle books. The second theory comes from X's warning. Be careful with the books. When you research the Golden Beetle books, one of the first results is the Golden Beetle books. A publisher focused almost entirely on the writings of Rudolf Steiner. Steiner was a philosopher and esoteric thinker who wrote extensively about spirituality, reincarnation, higher consciousness, chakras, and the unseen worlds, all subjects X was known to study. However, there is a major weakness with this theory. Outside of the publisher's name, there is no clear evidence connecting Steiner to the Golden Beetle. Even people involved in the Waldorf education which Steiner founded generally don't recognize any direct connection. So while it is an interesting possibility, the evidence is fairly limited. Theory 3. Carl Jung's The Golden Scarab. Now this is the theory that was strongest at the time. To understand why, we first have to talk about alchemy. Most people think of alchemy as trying to turn lead into gold. But spiritually, alchemy is really about transformation, changing yourself on a psychological and spiritual level. X was openly interested in alchemy and even owned books on the subject.
Go ahead.
These are some of his books, just so you have an idea of where his mind was, the things that he found interesting.
So he was definitely into the occult, numerology, and astrology.
Everything. And there's more here. Magic of reading and what he knows of power, mythology, magic, everything.
Very nice. And this is the car he liked?
No, that's the model of the one that I got. When you buy them, they give you the model. Astrology.
And where's the book that he gave you?
The 8. I'm looking for it.
And the reason that's important is because she's an 8 life path in numerology. Your son knew that. That's why he gave you that book.
Yeah. Birthdays, secret language of birthdays.
Yep.
The cosmos, like he was.
So again, this is no doubt that one of the greatest young minds in music history was influenced by numerology and astrology himself and the occult, correct?
Correct.
This is his mother telling you this.
Correct.
Beautiful.
While a user going by the name CTRL, you're probably familiar with him. He's the founder of the subreddit Achieve Gekyum. Well, while he was reading The Complete Idiot's Guide to Alchemy, a book that X reportedly had, he came across something interesting. It mentioned the scarab, which is a species of beetle closely associated with ancient Egypt. That led to the search for the golden scarab and alchemy. The first result brought him to Carl Jung. Carl Jung tells a famous story involving a golden scarab beetle while explaining his theory of synchronicity. Synchronicity is Jung's idea that certain events are meaningful coincidences, events with no obvious causes but which seem deeply connected. Jung wasn't just a psychologist, he also made major contributions to modern interpretations of alchemy, symbolism, and the unconscious mind. Out of every theory, this one has the strongest connections, or had them at the time. X studied alchemy. Jung wrote about alchemy. Jung tells a famous story involving a golden beetle. The ideas of symbolism, transformation, and synchronicity fit closely with subjects X was already exploring. The only criticism is that X specifically referred to the books instead of a single book. Jung's Golden Scarab story appears with his writings on the synchronicity rather than existing as a standalone series of books. Maybe X was referring to Jung's body of work as a whole, or even maybe he simply misspoke. There is no way of being certain. So, before we get into my theory and the potential answer on what the golden beetle actually is, let's conclude on the three theories presented. The honest answer is nobody knows. X never revealed what he meant, and unfortunately there is no way of asking him now. Out of the three theories, I think the strongest one is the Carl Jung's Golden Scarab and the concept of synchronity, mainly because it directly connects to X's known interests like alchemy and spiritual transformation. But there is still just an interpretation, not a confirmed answer. Ultimately, the golden beetle remains one of the biggest mysteries in Xxxtentacion's community. I'd love to hear what you guys think before we get into this. Which theory makes the most sense to you out of the three? Or do you think it's something completely different? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any questions on books or books recommendations, make sure to comment down below and I'll provide you with the answers. There is also a fourth theory that exists and that I won't be going into today. It basically talks about the golden beetle as the symbol for ancient gay Egyptian mysticism, which is partially true and sort of makes sense because if you study the whole mythology, the Egyptian mythology, it's basically all about grooming rituals for the pharaoh, mind control, and stuff like that. Professor Ji Young explained it perfectly on his YouTube channel. The channel has been, unfortunately, removed, but you might find some archives that explain it online. I personally think there is nothing to that theory, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that. I actually might make a separate video just on that topic and maybe try and explain that today and where we see those same practices implemented in modern games like the whole Diddy situation and the Hollywood gatekeeping practices they still practice to this day. Alright, so now finally let's dive into my theory that leads to the deepest ends of the iceberg that I was researching for a year with another Reddit user by the name of Excellency. What if one tiny symbol, a golden beetle, was the key to a mystery stretching from ancient Egypt to Renaissance occultism to forgotten Arabic manuscripts and possibly even Masonic archives? For months, nobody has been able to explain what the golden beetle actually means. But after digging through obscure texts, reverse image searches, and centuries-old books, I think we finally found the strongest lead yet. This rabbit hole gets weird. We've gotten tired of seeing people throw around random theories about the golden beetle without any real evidence, so we decided to start from the scratch and follow every clue we could find. Some of what you're about to hear is documented historical evidence material. Some of it is just speculation based on connections between sources. I'll make the discretion clear throughout the video. Let's start with where this investigation began. The first clue comes from Teflon Shawn's 187 Instagram. The golden beetle appears prominently, but something else caught our attention. Amongst the accounts being followed is an account going by a name Grimmer Magic, a rare occult book dealer. As far as we know, this is the only outwardly occult page in the following list. Recently, the account posted a reel featuring an unusual scarab deity. That image immediately stood out, so we reversed search the image. That search led us to several obscure historical texts. Ancient alphabets. One of those books was Ancient Alphabets and the Hieroglyphic Characters Explained. Inside we found one of the most interesting passages in the entire investigation. The text describes the scarab figure as representing what it calls the most sublime secret, called the original Bahumet and Karuf, the secret of nature of the world, the secret of secrets, the beginning of return of everything. Then comes the really interesting part. The author says the explanation is too extensive for the book and refers readers to another work called The Sun of Suns and the Moon of Moons, a book that appears to be lost, or at least incredibly difficult to find. The lost book. Naturally, we wanted to know whether the mysterious book actually exists. While searching, we came across another text called Baphomet, the Temple Mystery Unveiled. To be clear, I don't think this is one of the books X was talking about. It's filled with strange artwork and speculative occult material, but it contained one useful clue. It quoted an 1858 publication called The American Quarterly Review of the Freemasonry and its Kindred Science. According to an article written by Giles F. Yates, he personally encountered an untranslated Arabic manuscript called The Sun of Suns and the Moon of Moons inside the library of a Masonic lodge. If that's accurate, then this legendary book wasn't simply just a myth. It physically existed in the 19th century. So the obvious question becomes, which lodge? After researching Yeats, we found he was associated with the two New York lodges, St. George's Lodge number 6 and Morton Lodge number 87. Now I'm not saying the manuscript is still there. For all we know, it disappeared over a century ago. But if it survived, those locations seem like reasonable places to investigate. The Bambine Tablet. The investigation didn't stop there. The scarab image also appears in the Anastasius Kircher's 1636 work, named Prodormus Coptus. According to the Grimmer Magic website, Kircher identifies the figure as originating from the famous Bambine Tablet, also known as the Mensa Insiaca. Modern historians generally believe this tablet is Roman rather than ancient Egyptian, dating to around the 1st century CE. Kircher interpreted the figure as much more than a decorative symbol. According to the writings, the winged scarab holds a tablet representing the 4 celestial elements, symbolizing the unity of all things. He connects it to the relationship between the macrocosm and the microcosm. The heavens mirrored in the earthly world. He also links it to celestial intermediaries and to the beliefs of the Haranian Sabians, an ancient religious community associated with astronomy, planetary symbolism, and ritual tradition. Whether Kircher's interpretations are historically accurate is up to a debate today, but they became highly influential in the later Western esoteric tradition. Where the trail leads. Right now, there is still a lot of unanswered questions. Large sections of Prodormus Coptus remain untranslated, at least in an easily accessible English edition. Google Translate only gets you so far with 17th century Latin and Coptic. There could be important context hidden in those pages, which brings me to why I'm making this video. If you can read Arabic, Coptic, Hebrew, Latin, or Classic Chinese, I'd love your help examining these texts. And if you're familiar with historical Masonic archives, especially in New York, that could be also valuable. This isn't about proving a conspiracy, it's about following historical sources wherever they lead. For years, the discussion around the Golden Beetle has mostly been speculation. This doesn't solve the mystery, but it does provide something much stronger, a documented trail connecting the symbol of historical manuscripts, Renaissance scholarships, and references to a book that may or may not still exist somewhere. There is much better starting point than simply saying it's probably dead because there is a scorpion on the cover. If you have additional information, translations, or sources we missed, leave them in the comments. This investigation is far more than over. Thanks for watching. And take everything in this video with a grain of salt. Remember, these are just theories. And always remember, Christ is King. I'm gonna link some of the books and the Grimmer Magic website in the description down below so you guys can check it out. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. Peace. So I don't see a point studying that or getting deeper into that stuff.